Top 10 most expensive states to live in America for 2021. Are you rich? Well, it actually doesn't matter because either way, this is for you. If you're broke and don't want to get any broker, then don't move to any of the following states. But if after Mr. Monopoly money backs, well, all some of these states might be worth for your consideration, considering the way many of them also made up the top 10 on this list. And yes, I know broker isn't technically a word unless you're a stockbroker, in which case this list is also for you. Yes. Today we're going to be covering the most expensive states to live in, which can be based solely on living expenses. You know, everything from housing costs to taxes, utility bills, groceries, gas, healthcare, and childcare, which by the way is more expensive than college tuition in nearly 30 states. No wonder so many millennials aren't having kids. Oh, and just a reminder, we're ranking each state as a whole here and not letting one super expensive city offset the rest of the state if it's otherwise very affordable. And if we hit 5,000 likes today, I'll also do a video on the top 10 cheapest cities to live in. But time is money, as they say, and I don't want to waste any of yours. So, here are the top 10 most expensive states for 2021. If you're new here, welcome. Be sure to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of our new videos. Number 10. Washington. Well, you look at that. The number one state on our best states list just so happens to be pretty expensive with so many amazing small cities and towns and an abundance of diverse and gorgeous nature. It's no wonder that so many people want to move here. Well, that and all of amazing job opportunities that Seattle area offers, helping Washington achieve an incredibly high median household income of nearly $79,000. But all of those new residents have also shot up the cost of housing to become the fourth highest in the country, with a median home value of $444,000 and a median rent of $1,825 a month for a two-bedroom apartment. Now, to be fair, most of the states is a lot cheaper than this, as a $780,000 and $1 million median home value in Seattle and Bellevue do skew the statistics a bit. But regardless of where you live, there's still a 6.5% state sales tax rate. And most cities tack on local tax, meaning the actual sales tax are paying is usually over 9%, not to mention that 50 cents per gallon per tax, which makes the average price of a gasoline to 83 per gallon. No wonder there are so many Teslas here. All things considered, Washington probably seems like it should be a lot higher on this list, and it would be if it weren't for all of the money you save from no state income tax, cheap healthcare, and the 7th cheapest utility bills in the nation. Number 9. New Jersey. While Washington doesn't have any state income tax, New Jersey is one of the highest in the nation, with the top bracket paying 10.75%. Now to be fair, most people aren't making $5 million a year, but most families will still have to pay anywhere from 5.5 to 9%. To make things even worse, the state sales tax rate is 6.63%, and New Jersey also has the highest effective property tax rate at 2.47%. That's more than double the national average. Those expensive property taxes also make New Jersey the second most expensive state to own a home in, even though the median home value of $354,000 is a lot cheaper than many of the other states on this list. And if you're thinking so, who would care about property taking so just renting stood? Oh well, the median monthly rent for a two-bedroom apartment is also the 5th most expensive in the country at $1,870. Now, for many of the insane taxes and high cost of living, it's worth it as you also get access to some of the best public schools, gorgeous beaches and forests, and great job opportunities with the 3rd highest median household income of $85,750 and at least utilities, groceries, gas, health insurance and childcare costs, which are all right around or slightly below the national average. Oh, but if you're single, be prepared to either get rich or never marry because the average cost of a wedding here is $53,400. Number 8. Maryland. Another coastal state and another very expensive place to live in, but thankfully Maryland also has the highest median household income at a whopping $86,750, although that's mostly due to the people living in the super fancy Maryland suburbs who work in DC, while the state as a whole has a huge gap between the rich and the poor. Sure, there are some of the best towns and suburbs to live in here, like Bethesda with a median home value of over $1 million, but there are also some of the worst cities like Baltimore with a median home value of just $154,000. Since no one wants to live there, and I don't blame them, parts of the city are literally decaying and the violent crime rate is 382%, above the national average. So while Maryland's median home value is technically $322,000, that number is a bit deceptive as you're probably looking closer to $500 to $700 for a home in an area you actually want to live in. And statewide, the average cost of gas, utilities, groceries, health insurance, and childcare all range from 7 to 10% above the national average. Not to mention, the state sales tax rate is also 6%, and the state income tax rate can be as high as 8 or 9%. Since Maryland's one of the few states where each municipality can actually tack on its own local income tax. While none of these numbers might jump out of you as being the most expensive in any one category, everything here really adds up. Number 7. Colorado. While Colorado isn't anywhere near the ocean, it's still one of the most beautiful states with 58 14,000 food peaks and 300 sunny days a year. Add in some amazing job opportunities in the Denver area, which helps give the state a median household income of $77,000, and the Centennial State is a pretty desirable place to live in. In fact, Colorado's population has actually increased by 78% just over the past 30 years, and as such is gotten really expensive. The median home value has shot up from just $222,000 8 years ago to $420,000 today, making it the 5th most expensive state to buy a property in. And speaking of 420, unless you've been living under a rock the past 5 years, which to be fair might actually be plausible here since there's so much bouldering going on, you probably know about the legal weed, but if you wish to partake, you should also know that it's taxed heavily. On the contrary, the other taxes here are actually very cheap. The state income tax is a flat rate of 4.63%, sales taxes 2.9%, and the effect of property tax rate is the 3rd lowest in the nation at just 0.53%. Although there also is a local sales tax in most of the cities, which brings the actual sales tax rate closer to 8%. Honestly, apart from the cost of housing, which also includes the 7th most expensive rent in the country at $1,750 a month for a 2-bedroom apartment, Colorado isn't terribly expensive. It's the 6th cheapest state for utilities and groceries. Childcare and healthcare costs are all right around the national average. Number 6. Oregon. Oregon might be the cheapest West Coast state in terms of housing, with a median home cost of $375,000, but that's still the 6th highest price in the country, while the median household income is just barely above the US average of $67,000. As such, this is one of the worst places to live and save money, but boy, it is beautiful. Oregon is one of the most geologically diverse states with stunning forests, rivers, waterfalls, beaches, deserts, and mountains, offering literally every type of outdoor recreation imaginable. And it's also got some of the best food and beer, especially in Portland. Oh, and did I mention that there's no sales tax? But that might be nice for visitors wanting to make big purchases. For locals, it's more than offset by the highest effective income tax rate. That's at least 9% for most residents. Now, with all that tax money, you'd probably expect the public schools and roads to be in the tip-top shape, but they've actually some of the worst in the nation. And the cost to fill up your car to drive on those pothole-infested roads isn't cheap at $2.63 a gallon. But fuel for yourself is even more expensive because Oregon has the 9th most expensive groceries outside of utilities, which are actually really cheap due to all the Columbia River dams. The cost of living just keeps going up and wages aren't keeping up, leading to a huge homeless problem throughout the state. Number 5. New York. I know what you're thinking. What? New York is the most expensive city? It is only on number 5. Well, New York City is very expensive, but this list is about the most expensive states, not cities. And the rest of New York State is really affordable. While the median home value overall is $335,000, the number is a bit misleading since the median home price in New York City is $655,000, but almost all of the upstate is dirt cheap, with median home costs in Buffalo and Syracuse, for example, both being under $115,000. Although there also aren't many great job opportunities in most of the upstate cities, not to mention the wealthier can get atrocious with 100 inches of annual snow in both Rochester and Buffalo. The worst part about living in New York, though, is the taxes. The effect of property tax rate is 1.71% in the state income tax rate for most residents, which will be 6.2 or 6.5%. Although it could be as high as 8.82%. And while the state sales tax rate is just 4%, you're really going to be paying at least 8 or 8.5% because, like many of the other states on this list, the cities are on their own local sales tax. The Empire State also has the 4th most expensive groceries and the 3rd highest median monthly rent at 2,221%. So while it might not be as expensive as you thought, New York is still very expensive. Number 4. Alaska. While you might not expect such a rural place with no big cities to be so expensive, especially when the state literally pays you to live there, Alaska is here to change your mind. Now, the cost of housing is actually the cheapest on this list, with a median home value of $296,000, and the median rent for a two-bedroom apartment being just $1,529 a month. And the last frontier is also one of the most tax-friendly states with no state income or sales tax and an effective property tax rate of just 1.18%. But even with the cheap housing and taxes, Alaska is still incredibly expensive, mostly due to nearly everything having to be imported, which takes a long time in the cost of fuel, which isn't cheap. In the remote stretches of Canada, the trucks have to pass through in order to get here to make things even more complicated. Many communities are only accessible by plane or boat, which increases prices even more. As a result, Alaska is the second most expensive state for groceries, the sixth most expensive state for healthcare, and the average cost for a gallon of gas is $2.51. And I haven't even mentioned the winters. Most of Alaska lies north of the 60th parallel, so pretty much the entire state gets brutally cold. But if you live in Fairbanks or anywhere in the interior, be prepared to witness a minus 40 Fahrenheit regular temperature, and thus your heating bills are going to be through the roof. Alaska actually has the second most expensive utilities, with prices 54% above the national average. But at least the jobs here pay a lot more than the one in the lower 48, leading to a median household income of $75,500. Number 3. Massachusetts. Oh, good old Taxachusetts. To be honest though, that nickname is a bit exaggerated. I mean, sure, the sales income and property taxes here aren't cheap, but they are actually only slightly above average, meaning Massachusetts is one of the most tax-friendly states on this list. It's more of the insane housing, utility and grocery costs that eat up your paycheck. Oh, and the most expensive child care cost at nearly $21,000 a year. The median home price is around $450,000, which is already the third most expensive of any state, but when you include property taxes, median price per square foot, renovation costs and closing costs, Massachusetts is actually the most expensive state to own a home in. And renting isn't any better since it's also the fourth most expensive state to expect to spend at least $2,200 a month for a two-bedroom apartment. But to be fair, the median household income is also the second highest in the nation at nearly $86,000, mainly due to all the excellent job opportunities the Boston area offers. Now, Massachusetts is honestly a great state to live in with the best public schools, the best healthcare coverage and quality, amazing sports, top-notch universities and so much history. If only it didn't cost an arm and a leg to live here. Number 2. California. Many people idolize the Golden State. Is this paradise with perfect weather and so much opportunity? But the truth is, more dreams die here than come true. It's no wonder so many people are fleeing the smoggy, overcrowded, overpriced mess we all call California. But despite all the negatives, many people, many new people of course, continue to move here, meaning the cost of living continues to rise. The median home value has nearly doubled over the last 8 years to $587,000 today, and California also has the most expensive rent at $2,540 a month for a two-bedroom apartment. Unlike Massachusetts, however, wages do not keep up with the cost of living. Sure, there are some good jobs in the Bay Area with a median household income around $150,000, but the median home value in San Francisco is also $1.2 million. And while the other cities are a lot cheaper, they're still not cheap, and there aren't nearly as many good-paying jobs. Now, the statewide median household income is around $80,000. But considering that California also has the 7th most expensive utilities, the 3rd most expensive groceries, gas prices of $3.21 a gallon, and the highest income tax rate of any state at 13.3% for the top bracket, you'll be left with a lot less, honestly. Everything here is more expensive since California also has the highest state sales tax rate at 7.25%, with local taxes added up on top in most cities, making the actual sales rate tax closer to 9%. California is often referred to as a playground for the rich, and that's pretty much exactly what it is. Now, before we get to number 1, make sure you have left a like and subscribed, and comment about this video and which video you'd like to see next. And while it's technically a state, I thought I'd give an honorable mention to Washington DC, which would be the 2nd most expensive state if it were one. The median home value is nearly $640,000, and the median rent for a two-bedroom apartment is $2,400 a month. Now, to be fair, if you can find a job here, you'll probably get by, as DC also has the highest median household income in the country at $92,300. But if you have kids that need to be taken care of while you're at work, the capital also has the highest average child care cost at over $24,000 a year. And your income tax is probably going to be between 6 and 8.5%. But hey, at least healthcare and property taxes are cheap. Number 1. Hawaii. Where are you really expecting anything else? I mean, Hawaii is literally a few volcanic islands in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, 2,500 miles away from the nearest mainland, which means everything has to be brought in by plane or ship. Needless to say, Hawaii is home to the most expensive groceries, utilities and gas prices in the nation, and it isn't even close. And the median home value is $640,000, which is double the national average. Now, to be fair, wages are also really good here with a median household income of over $83,000, but the state income tax is also the second highest of any state, with the top brackets paying 11%. If you're retired and rich or have a great job online, Hawaii is literally paradise, but considering only 1.4 million people actually live on the islands, it obviously isn't a very attainable goal for most. And while the healthcare costs and property taxes are the cheapest in the country, they aren't nearly enough to keep Hawaii from being the most expensive state to live in for 2021. There you have it, guys. Those were the top 10 most expensive states to live in America for 2021. Thanks for watching. Please do subscribe to our channel, like the video, and comment in the comment section below.